anyway. Otherwise, I think that answers all the questions there for us. Lovely, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. And very quickly, our next opportunity is with Somerset on the 4th of May. Ed Cullen, Jason Hughes, Stuart Leach.
Stuart Leach is very on.
Selection vote. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you. I'm happy to explain why the other two. Jason sitting over a bad back, and Mr. Collins had to dash to the hospital with a family member.
Okay. Well. I'll dive in with the basic housekeeping one, which hopefully should be fairly easy. So, but how can you demonstrate there is a community need for this particular event?
Good evening all. So the Somerset Armed Forces Day is run under the auspices of the National Armed Forces Day movement, which was a movement that was started to show or to allow communities to show support to the serving armed forces, the veterans community, and those connected with the forces. Taunton has a long history with the military, and Jalalabad Barracks, of course, where Fiery Pups is in the shadow of, is testament to that. Our figures for last year would certainly demonstrate it was a popular show. We had a recorded entry of over 30,000 people, and the year before that, over 21,000 people. So we think there is a need there, and we hope to grow on that need, and we hope to expand that need.
If your application for funding was not successful, would the event still be able to go ahead?
The event would go ahead, but we'd have to look to where we would do our housekeeping, where we would reduce either in the things we're able to reduce. We can't reduce the statutory spending that we required to make. We need to insure the event. That is approximately £1,500 this year to get the liability cover we need. We need to have safety in mind, so we have to pay for barriers. We have to have extra toilets brought into the town. We have to pay for litter clearance, etc., etc. So we couldn't reduce that. We'd have to look at reducing our entertainment to the public. That entertainment, by reducing it, may well affect the footfall coming into the park. So it's a bit of a vicious circle. So in answer to your question, yes, we would go ahead. We'd do our utmost to go ahead, but it would be a much reduced format.
And Councillor Councillor Deakin.
Councillor Ellis, and just actually, I think last year's event was a huge success. I don't think you mentioned it, but the largest armed forces game in the country outside of the national one, just something separated. So huge run up to you and the community for what you achieved last year. 30,000 people last year, which will target attendance this year.
Modestly, I'm just going to say to increase upon that footfall.
So we're looking through the budgeting. Obviously, a lot of the line entries that you have in there absolutely essential. You are pressed to trim some of them down. I just wanted to question. It's a one-day event in two different pots. You've got £3,700 in there for refreshments. So two different groups, I think, unless I'm reading it incorrectly. I may have got to say, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
Could I examine that statement and come back to you and just give you clarification on that? And I'll do that within the next 7 days for you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much.
Again, I think this application is for a grant, but again, it's something that I think that the committee will probably look at sponsorship, potentially a sponsorship package, similar to last year, if that would be acceptable to you.
Indeed, any assistance. What we did last year, you will recall, was we facilitated both Taunton Town Council and the then phasing Somerset West Council to come along and pass their message to their ratepayers as to what was going on. So we felt very much that it was the right thing to do to show the community, as we did with Somerset Council and as we do with other initiatives that are not directly connected with the show, the road safety partnership, etc. We think that that's what we need to give to show why we're applying for a grant and why we are there and doing the show.
An event that we're very familiar with, so the lack of questions isn't a negative. Please don't take it. Otherwise, if everyone's happy with what information you need.
would you like any elucidation on the Military Wives Choir application?
Yes, if you can elaborate, that'd be great.
So the Military Wives Choir is a national charity, and as the lady explained, they need to pay their costs accordingly. They currently have not been engaged to perform at the show, pending the outcome of these grant requests they're making. They would not necessarily be funded from a grant given to us by Taunton Town Council. We may well find an outside way of funding their attendance if we engage them. Every performer that comes along, we have to fund, and that's a huge pot of money that we have to go into. So they feature on that. But I was very much interested in seeing their grant, and we will ensure that you as a authority are not paying for those twice if we do engage them, and we hope to.
Just clarify me, and maybe I'm being a bit thick, enjoy a couple of meetings. If we did let them have the grant, you would we have your word that they would be allowed to be in the show, the one at in Vibrant Heart. Mark, I'm correct on that, that's what will happen, because otherwise you're contradicting. If you say we might, then what would we risk our funding if we don't think they're going to be there?
As I said, we haven't engaged them yet. We have a finite performance window, and that performance window is rested around the arena for the major displays, and then a stage, and then this year we're entertaining a secondary stage. At the moment, they are penciled in to be on one of those stages. Their cost will outstrip their application. That is without doubt. I believe their costs last year were estimated, had they attended, at being £800, because, as the lady said, their professional side of things gets paid for the whole attendance. So our idea is we squeeze them a little bit more together and not have a longer window to reduce their costs and put them. But of course, we can't just engage them for one performance because their voices wouldn't last for 90 minutes. But 2:45 we might better fit in. So certainly I will come back again to you and I will reiterate, but once we've got a clear picture on our timings, if they're engaged, I will let you know, and I will ensure that the account willingly shows you that we're not double accounting for the Military Wives Choir. Thank you. Good.
I think that's covering the list of findings, as yet, that's all.
I'm obliged to. Thank you very much, folks. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Next, we have the Somerset Common Festival, CIC, and Trish Hall. Next, Trish. Dive in with all my housekeeping questions.
No problem.
My list. Have you demonstrated the community need for this particular event?
I've made some notes and I think I've captured the majority of that in my final paragraph on here. Basically, the whole reason for doing this has been a plan of mine for over 10 years to make Somerset and Taunton centric, the Edinburgh of the South. And it's taken me 10 years to reach the stage of my connections to local businesses for funding and sponsorship, and my connections with the whole of the comedy industry to get people to want to come down and perform. Taunton and Somerset are quite starved of the bigger names in comedy. If you see they're going to be in Bristol and Plymouth and Exeter and things, whenever I go and see a show there, I see so many people from Taunton, and they're all spending money in someone else's economy instead of ours. So my dream is to bring the biggest names here, helping our local economy, keep our local tills ringing, attracting visitors, filling our cafes, pubs, restaurants, hotels, providing employment for our local residents. And also laughter is very good for people's mental health. It truly is the best medicine. And we are going to have comedians of all different styles and genres to appeal to as many people as possible. We also intend to run some training courses for people to learn how to do stand-up comedy if they want to in the future. And we're going to be doing some for people with ADHD and various issues like that, so they can enjoy it and join in as well. So we're trying to make it, and for old people and young people, we're making it as all inclusive as we can.
And the panel got questions. Councillor Astley.
Hopefully these will be nice questions. So Trish, the way I see this is very exciting because this is a first. So this will be our very own. Why don't we have this festival? Why don't we do all of that sort of thing? And we're lucky because you've got all these connections and you've kind of, as you said, you've been building up to it. So really kind of, I suppose, is the idea about asking the town council for funding, is it seed funding? Because I guess you have a lot of expenses up front to set things up. Because you've got to book and when you pay for it, you've got to book performers, you've got to book venues, you've got to do a lot of work. Is it so the way I'm conceiving it is that our money will be helping to fund this is the first year and it's to help this thing take off.
It's taken a long time to organise the festival. I've actually put £3,000 of my own money in to cover the initial costs like marketing and financial help and this sort of thing. And I would like that back because it's come from my premium bonds account. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get that back at the end. I guess the funding will look great on our marketing if we can have that we've been sponsored by Taunton Town Council. It will encourage other businesses to get on board and sponsor us too. Until yesterday, we didn't really have a full list of exactly who is coming, but that is the month of July there. So you can see the number of shows and venues across, and most of them are in Taunton, including the Castle Hotel, the Creative Innovation Centre, which I love, the Tacky Morris, Taunton Minster. We're putting a comedy night on in the Minster, and Toby is well up for it, and we're going to have a brilliant comedy night in there. And then Taunton School are hosting the final weekend in July, and for those nights we've just today heard we've booked Sean Walsh, who was on Strictly Come Dancing, and he is one of the top comedians. He's going to come down on Saturday. We've got Simon Brodkin on the Sunday, who's also top notch, and I've got to pay these people, but we've worked all our budgets out on every show being only 60% sold, which is achievable. So 60% of a well-organised, well-marketed event, we should be absolutely fine. But there are an awful lot of costs on top of that. Oh, you see my logo? It's my Genius Cat, which is black, and the dragon, which is on our high street. So my marketing is all, oh, she's got a dragon over there. So my marketing is all around the cat and the dragon. And we're just going to have shows all over the place and training courses.
Councillor Deacon.
Thank you for sharing what you've done so far. It's really exciting. Just in terms of the 60% sold of each show, what the kind of capacity look like to reach the performances? So is it 60%? And what does that look like?
Yeah.
Like, and then just again, roughly the cost pressure. Really interesting to know.
Can't do that because each performer will be on different levels of a performance. You get what you pay for. One of my venues will only hold 90 people. So I've worked out that 60% of that is a certain number. I've worked out how much I can pay the act. And because the whole thing about this festival is I don't expect to make a penny on this first one. Hopefully it will grow and I'll be able to retire at some point. But the whole point of everything I'm doing and things I've always done is to make sure that the acts do well, the venues do well, and the festival will hopefully maintain some profit to plough into future years. And we are a CIC, so we're hoping to make quite a substantial charitable donation at the end of the festival as well. But my other venues are like 190, 900, a couple of 400s and 800. So they're all different sizes, and the calibre of the act will depend on the seating capacity of the venue. I don't want to charge too much. I want people to be able to afford to come along, and we will be doing some deals on buying for more than one show. I don't want anyone to think they can't afford. Some of them are literally going to be £7.50, but will barely make up all the costs without some funding.
That sounds great. And just on the, so some of the extra activities that things to kind of get people into comedy and some of the workshops and things, will they be paid for as well? Will they be free? And what bits of our society are you trying to get to, what kind of groups of people into those?
I'm talking to, you must know this guy, forgive me, I'm going to forgive his name, and this is on YouTube. He's married to the lady that does all the health and well-being courses, and he works at the engine shed. He's got like grey dreadlocks.
Oh, Alex Rowland.
Alex Rowland.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Alex is getting on board because he works with these people all the time. And I've actually got a few close friends in the comedy industry that have got the same conditions as these people. They want to wear headphones and not necessarily interact with the public. They don't like loud noises and this sort of thing. So I'm hoping to be able to work with him on providing that, but also those kids, if they're kids, will also be able to, if they want, see the comedians that have done really well, even though they're suffering from these conditions. And they could like follow their dreams and see how well these people have done themselves.
Just following up, one of the questions I had was, how much are any of these going to be free to that point of view, or is it limited, is it just those workshops? And what sort of average ticket price are you, obviously it's going to vary from venue to venue, but what kind of ticket price are you looking at charging?
Average ticket prices will be between £7.50 and £15, but the bigger names at Taunton School they'll be higher, they'll be £20–25 per ticket. But Taunton School are organising a lovely weekend of local Somerset providers of food and drink around the marquee area, so people can come out and, you know, support local food and drink businesses before they go into the marquee. We are hoping to help as many people as possible. I'm so sorry about my voice.
Councillor Tully.
You mentioned a couple of places, unfortunately I'm connected with one, the Tacky Morris. Now, the Tacky Morris has started a comedy.
That's mine. I've got two businesses. I've got Genius Comedy and Somerset Comedy Festival. Genius has been going for 10 years. And this year, Genius is 10. And at the weekend, I turned 60. So it seemed the perfect time to actually do what I wanted to do for all of those times. But now I work closely with the Tacky Morris. I do provide their comedy there.
The show coming up pretty soon now then.
It's brilliant. I'd get some tickets for that if I was.
Yes. I will advertise it. It's worth going to the Tacky Morris. The one thing that bothered me is that Tacky Morris can take, I think, 250. And it was only about just under 2/3 full on both shows I've been to.
Have you done one there?
Then there's someone else done one as well.
Yeah.
But what concerns me is the advertising of it. The same thing you said about the Minster. I'm connected with the Minster and I know nothing about it.
Well, I think we're not ready to announce yet. The go live date is 12th of April. All the venues are being sent a document that's got images and words for all of the shows. They're going to put them on their box offices, but not announce them. Then there's going to be a big announcement and it's all going to be fed back through to my website and it'll be like a big bang. And then people will be able to see who's coming and choose which shows they want to go and see. I'm very behind it because I lost my mother-in-law and my father-in-law within 3 weeks. And I was also working with 2 other people who promised me everything and haven't been able to deliver for various reasons. So I'm practically doing this single-handedly.
Have your other backers also to help you in sponsoring?
No,
So basically us.
it is just you at the moment and my own money that I've put in. But I'm very well connected in the business community. And I've got contacts with all the biggest businesses. I just need to put my sponsorship plea in a way that they can't ignore me, and then hopefully it will just be brilliant. It will be brilliant.
Thank you, Chair.
I think that covers all of my questions. Relax. Focus on my students.
I'm safe to drive. Thank you.
Next we have Somerset Film and Video and Stella Richardson. Excellent teamwork there. Fine mind. I'm gonna dive with the same question I asked everyone else. Sticking with that. How can we demonstrate as a community need for this particular project?
Thank you. So community need often starts with people who've already participated in our activities asking for more. What are you doing next? When are you next in Taunton? The organisations that we meet through the Cultural Forum and other activities that we do, asking us to bring activity. We have a youth panel that meet twice a year. So we test our ideas with our young people before we deliver them. We also have a disability advisory panel as well. Obviously that reflects all ages. So again, we talk about, they inform everything from our website to our programme, etc. I think our programme of activity and our priorities start with our board of trustees, who are all local people who live and work in Somerset. Our priorities are children and young people, those with disabilities, and minority communities. As I say, we do deliver some activity already in Taunton and other areas. But we're always looking for ways to reach more young people. So this proposal is very much a new approach for us. And we're looking for ways to remove barriers to engagement. So this activity has very much that at the forefront. And we know that those who invest in what we do are looking for value for money. So rather than delivering workshops that might only reach, because we're always trying to do work that's high quality. So rather than, a one-day workshop that might only meet 8 young people in that workshop, we're looking to develop activities that are going to reach bigger numbers. And that's what this proposal is about. We evaluate all of our activities afterwards through surveys. So yeah, just our ongoing. And we also, when we set out our year's activity, we're an organisation with a county-wide remit. So we will look where we're working geographically as well as our priorities. And we will make sure that we have a good geographic spread in terms of what we are doing. We look at statistics, that informs our work too. And so sadly, some of the activity that we would normally plan to bring to Taunton, for example, BFI Film Academy, which is 16 to 19-year-olds, we're finding that government agendas are meaning that they want us to only deliver in very specific geographic areas that they consider a priority. So we're looking for other ways that we can bring activity to Taunton.
Councillor Deakin.
Thank you for that explanation. I just want to ask about the Bridgewater pilot that is happening in May, which is quite a really good blueprint, I'm sure, for what you want that done. Just wonder how you're funding the Bridgewater pilot and how you managed to get that off the ground. Yeah, sure. So in terms of the Lego, the thousands of pieces of Lego, that has actually been purchased through our town deal funding, which is, yeah, you're probably aware of that, which has been a capital development fund. So some of that capital development has gone into new equipment and resources. So, again, it's not just about, we happen to have the engine room, which is our community media centre in Bridgewater, but it's not all about those 4 walls. It's about activity right across the county. So we've always had at the forefront, what do we invest in and how can everywhere else benefit from that too? We are delivering the activity through our Arts Council funded NPO programme. We're a national portfolio organisation.
So in our activity plan, we have a certain number of weeks of activity. So we're funding the pilot through that.
Normally shows the question. No, I think it'd be absolutely overrun, because I know, and I work with home educated kids, and this, oh my gosh, people will go absolutely mad for this, I know, and I'm just quite interested, because I'll be, obviously, the young people sort of creating their vision for a future talk, and we'll be working on a neighbourhood plan, so it's just a question of, can we get our mitts on, when you report back, and we have some of the sort of, the images, visuals, whatever, of what their vision is, because that can then inform that process.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually, because we did a similar project but using Minecraft. We built Bridgewater in Minecraft, but basically just did the couple of the key roads, but the rivers and some of the topographical features. And then did a similar activity where they could reshape Bridgewater, but start with this kind of blank canvas. And it was really fascinating, but we used it to pose the questions around some of the environmental challenges that we're facing, you know, and these young people. But we began by talking about what they loved about where they lived, and started with that positive thing. And unsurprisingly, they built open spaces. They planted trees along the riverbed. You know, they took on board all of those things. They did also build a rather large McDonald's in the middle of it, but you know, so you know, you take it from all sides. But it is a really interesting activity to do, and what I love about this is it's that blend of really tactile. It's great for all ages. So it's inspired by the Oliver Eliasson exhibition that was in the Tate Modern that I was able to go to. And to see my 50-year-old husband, the kids aside, can we get to the Lego? You know, but there really were people of all ages. And, you know, to be able to have those conversations while you're doing that activity, but also what we will be doing. So the digital element that we're bringing, as you know, is about using a LiDAR scanner, which creates them into 3D scanned, and then we'll be putting them into, I know you didn't want a PowerPoint presentation, but I've got an example there of a 3D scan. So they'll be able to scan these objects in, and then we'll be putting them into a virtual gallery. So you will have that, you know, you'll be able to access that virtual gallery afterwards. And so will they, because that's the other thing about it. It evolves as new people come in. You're allowed to take bits off of what already exists. So it's an ever moving landscape. But we're really conscious that, you know, they can't take away the Lego, they can't take away their creation, but they can access what they've made in a different way. So, yeah.
Finish up with a really boring question. With the projects that are going into this grant funding?
Unfortunately not, no.
Do I have any questions from the panel? No, I think that's all on TikTok. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Next, we have Somerset Opera. And that's Josie Preston and Colin Robinson. Start with the same question. I think it's one person who's not going to get it, so I thought it'd be a combination. But how can we demonstrate this community need to be with the project?
So while we are, this project isn't actually just Somerset Opera. This is a joint project between Somerset Song Prize and Somerset Opera to create a new venture, and this is our first event called Somerset Liederabend. And the Lieder comes from the German of art song, Abend meaning evening, but unfortunately we're having it in the afternoon, and I don't know the German for afternoon. There you are. Nein, nicht sprechen Sie Deutsch. So yes, the community need. I don't think anyone can deny or argue that classical music at the moment is being hit. It's happening in our schools, unfortunately, and it's just devastating, the struggle of classical music, what's happening. So the idea of this event, and I went to a music college. I was lucky enough, so I'm a trained classical opera singer, I guess. And I did these Liederabends at uni, and I thought about bringing them to Taunton. It's a really safe, kind, reassuring project event where anyone of any age, of any ability to sing song. And the idea is to promote classical song in Taunton, something that is not really done a huge amount. People see opera a lot, but apart from Somerset Song Prize, there's not a huge amount of song, like the Liederabend, the Lieder, the French Melodie, or the Italian art songs, the English art songs, you know, our own heritage. We don't hear a lot of it, which is a shame. So it's just about hope the idea is to give people the chance, and anyone, you know, I've heard there are a few choir singers potentially on the panel. Would people, you know, this is the people who we want to get, yeah. Oh.
If I just may add to that, part of what I see as so appealing with this idea that JC's had is just the simple power of offering a platform for a singer to perform with a pianist. That it is such a simple idea. I helped organise with the committee the Somerset Song Prize that JC alluded to, and that is happens every other year. It's a national competition. It's aiming for stars of the future, and we it's based in Taunton. And what we wanted with the Song Prize, while we're partnering with Somerset Opera, is to connect more locally, provide a platform more locally for singers who aren't necessarily stars of the future, but it can be transformative once you take that leap and be in front of people and sing your song to. It can be transformative. It can enable them to perhaps consider volunteering for a small solo in the next Taunton Choral Society, or a part in some sort of opera production, or just give them confidence to be in a room speaking with people with confidence. It can be transformative. So that's why I feel that there's an unlocked need there, and why this is really important.
Argue with anything. I wanted to ask, what is the cost to participate for both performers and audience? How is that working?
So to participate, to sing is nothing, completely free, and that is something that everyone on board is so passionate about. That, you know, with music, you know, there's so many things where you have to pay to do, and it was so important for us that actually this is a free-for-all. Just come, have a sing, and we're having it in a really informal way, cabaret style. You get up from your seat, sing a song, sit back down, get a clap, you know, great. And to come along, so ideally we wanted, again, free, completely free entrance, but we do have to, we're putting a pay what you can kind of cost for the audience. So whether that is nothing, that's fine. whether that's £10, you know, great. We're not, it's, the reason why we applied for this grant is because we want it to be so inclusive of all backgrounds, of, you know, all ages, of all abilities, low income, high income. Music doesn't show, do you know what I mean? It's, I can't express myself. It's, music doesn't discriminate, music doesn't, whatever, yeah.
If we didn't give you the grant, with the projects that we go ahead?
This pilot event will, because it's happening on the 27th of April at the Studio Theatre in the Brewhouse at 3 p.m. So this one event will be, but whether we carry going will be another thing, unfortunately.
I act as chair of the Somerset Song Prize Committee, and we're happy to underwrite this event in partnership with Somerset Opera. And yes, as Josie said, beyond, but further into the future, I'm really keen for this to be a lasting programme of activities, but we need to really ensure we shape a really great offer, and that's what this money would help us to do.
I read a wonderful Somerset Opera with W.S. Gilbert and was this your life or this is your life, which is, yeah, that we've all Gilbert and Sullivan Man now in my house. Thank you. No, but it was wonderful. I mean, it did sort of set me because it was so amazingly done. And there's a very nice vibe to it as well, because when you come in, it's like, it's not stuffy at all. It's like if you were going to get into opera, I reckon it's a pretty good way to do it for you, because it just felt kind of really relaxed and nice and welcoming. But how does the sort of funding work? I mean, was it like members just put stuff in a pot, or how does that all work?
Yeah, so Somerset Opera did the opera, but this is like because of the joint project, Somerset Lead Arm. So the funding for this one event, we have, I've contacted, for example, a local piano tuner who is coming in to tune the Brewhouse piano at a discounted price for an advert in the programme that I'm creating. I'm also I've asked the printers if they would put an advert in the programme to also give us another discount, which they have done. But you know, it's not free, it's discounted, but it's not free. So yeah, the main the main income would be the pay what you can from the audience.
Listening to what you're saying, is it opera or operetta you're doing? Opera, to me, opera is very high, but operetta is slightly lower. Is it that area operetta you're actually trying to achieve?
It is song. It's something.
For the song prize that I helped to organise, that's our criteria. We say no extracts from opera, no extracts from operetta. It's purely song that was written for performance in this context with a singer and a pianist. And I think the notion of the Liederabend with the song in my heart, as we might badge it, is to be a bit more accommodating at the outset, be a bit more flexible in not turning people away. But over time, if it lasts, then try and encourage song.
Yeah. If you would like to sing your Verdi, no problem. If you want to sing your Schumann, no problem.
Also ask you questions. Have you looked for funding from anywhere else? With this ability to get funding from anywhere else?
So apart from the programme discounts and advertisements from the discounts in the programme rather, no, not as it stands. So we were going to use the grant to help fund, and also then think, oh, okay, great, we've been able to do this. put it on our programme and on our some marketing, and then reach out to other businesses that are, you know, musically minded and things like this, see what we can find, and hopefully grow Somerset Leader Arbent into different things, a masterclass, things like this.
I think it's a very new project.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy? Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have the Taunton Artistic Swing Club. So Sebastian. I'm waiting for the same question I asked everyone so far. How do you demonstrate the community point of view of projects?
If I write it out, because I'm not an art or a doctoral. Right, we go to swimming, I think we like swimming club. Basically, it's very good for fitness, very good for stamina, very good for social and mental health. We involve all children, all adults. We're trying to get more adults, and we're not discriminative against anybody who are disabled. And we would like to be able to fund people who can't afford to. Quite an expensive sport now, swimming. With the rising prices, it's getting more expensive. So hence we are trying to keep ourselves going. We've been going since the 1970s in England. But recently we split from the Speed Swimming Club, who were supporting us, but now they've decided they can't, so we've kicked it. We set up on our own and we want to make ourselves back to where we were. We've lost a lot of members from being shut down.
So, you previously applied through youth grants, and this application, I put through details, and it looks very slightly different. I just wanted to check, in your previous application, there was mention of purchasing an underwater speaker, but that wasn't detailed in this grant. Is it because you don't need one, or you just had it, you just haven't included it in this particular application?
I would apologise because I never filled in the form.
Okay.
But of course, we would love to buy another underwater speaker because they're very expensive. But yeah, I expect she's left it out to try and get the money. We need to train people. That's what we're trying to get. Because without training people to coach people, we can't get any bigger. It's not like speed swimming. You can't have 6 or 7 to 1 coach. You need 1 to 3 at the most. It's very expensive to train us. Oh, press my button.
Oh, yeah, it's really impressive.
I didn't press it.
Councillor Deacon.
So you also applied to Sport England, some funding, so we've done an update on that application and kind of what about that sport.
Yes, we did, and we got turned down. So we voted on that. We may well apply again, depending on what. We're just trying to reach out to everything to help keep us going.
Councillor Ellen.
Just wondering how often do you guys meet and run? Is it like a regular sort of weekly thing?
So we run twice a week, every week. Unfortunately, we only get half a pool now. Taunton Speed took our half, so we're a bit restricted. We would love to amalgamate the adults and the juniors, because at the minute the adults only get every other weekend. So because we can only do every other Saturday. So yeah. And then we do a Tuesday night in Wellington, so in pool, because the pool time in Taunton is very restricted because they shut Wellington Pool, haven't they? So everybody's come over here, all the swimming lessons are over here, so they haven't got enough space. But we're hoping to come back. Our main pool is Taunton Pool here. It's lovely because it's 3 meters deep. It's the only one that is really suitable for synchronised by artistic swimming. So we'd love to actually do more. We're restricted at the minute by term time only because of our funding. The number of members we have and the money coming in, we haven't got enough to do it all year round. All our members know that, but I'd love to go back to having more sessions in the year.
Can I ask, what's the cost for participating and what are the sort of club fees?
But our club fees, we have kept the same and they are £24 for a month for juniors and £15 for adults. Probably 12 actually for adults.
Is that because adults have less sessions than the UGs?
Yeah, they basically get every other weekend, so it's 2 a month instead of. So 24 is for one time a week. If they come twice a week, it's then 36. That just covers the pool.
And what would be the impact if we didn't give you the funding? That's right.
I think we would seriously struggle to survive. We're in the process of affiliating to Swim England and there's a lot of paperwork and we're all volunteers and the time it takes is ridiculous. We're just getting sort of bogged down in it all and we could just about manage, but I think we might. Yeah, it's a shame to let it all fall. And anyone who comes to try it really loves it and stays. So as long as we can get people in. We're desperately trying to get members in. We've contacted all schools. We're advertising in local newsletters. And all our adults are taking posters away. And one of our adults is he's very what about it. He loves it. He's got hypermobility and it helps him because he can exercise in the water. It's giving him extra confidence because he suffers with anxiety. And we've also got a special needs chap as well. So it's 2 chaps doing really well.
Any questions from the panel? I apologise, slightly questions, but only because we'd already heard about the project slightly from the previous year.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, the answers all within sight. I'm keen to take up on my list. Everyone else is happy. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next, we have the Taunton Canoe Club with me and Mary Blue.
Hello.
Hi. Same question. Very on blind date, same question. How do you demonstrate the community need for this project?
Okay. Well, I just want to clarify as well that we're Taunton Canoe Club and we've got a lot of members enjoying lots of different disciplines within Taunton Canoe Club, but this is specific to the canoe polo. So we've seen a rise in numbers in canoe polo and we have a fantastic advanced session twice a month. And we have a lot of members coming there and they're members with experience, they have their own kit. We want to, based on that enthusiasm, we're trying to build up our beginner numbers, our novice players, and there's space there. And that space is limited by the equipment that we have to offer novice polo. So we're this year, for the first time in many years, we entered 2 teams, a men's team and a women's team into the Southwest League, and we'd really like to enter a youth team, and we'd like to build the numbers for the youth polo team and the women's polo team as well. They'd like some more members as well, but I can't promote that without the equipment. Because it's specific safety equipment as well as the paddles. Paddles are a certain specification for safety. They're just a slightly thicker on the ends. Some of the experienced paddlers, they've got their own kit, and that's the way in the club. But as when you get the novice players coming in, it's that initial outlay is what's could hold people back from starting and progressing with the sport. So I know there are people out there wanting to play, and I know the benefits of, taking part in a team sport, the physical benefits, the mental benefits and the social benefits, really. And that, for the youth of Taunton at the moment, I'm sure there's, we can get a team together, we can get more than a team together, we can put in a polo session, or we've got a weekly polo session at the moment, and occasionally we use the Saturday afternoon, which seems to tie in what that lady was saying. We have them every other week. We can do polo sessions down there as well. And I know like the Wellington Kayak Club, they're lacking their pool at the moment. And I know they'll also be very interested if we could organise a tournament. But all of those things rely on us having the equipment. You can't do that without the right safety equipment and the right. When I say safety equipment, I'm talking about the helmets with the face guards. You've got to have the bumpers on the boats. You've got to have the certain paddles with the thickness of the paddle, the blades, and you need the spray decks to fit the boats.
And what's the cost normally of these?
The fees to join the club for the year are £97 per member, but we do it's got a large discount for the second family member, because we really encourage the families to join. So the second family member would be half of that, and any additional family members would also be half of that.
You looked anywhere else for funds for this project?
No, I haven't. Mainly because this was like specific to Taunton. We're not really on the canoe polo community yet, because we've only just got these two teams going for men's and women's in the South West League. We'd like to build up. While we've got these experienced players in the club, we'd like to build up the numbers and yeah, hopefully build on that enthusiasm and encourage more younger players into the sport. Not just the younger players, it's the youth, and it's the young adults, whatever gender, and then obviously that doesn't exclude anybody else either. Any older people as well are welcome to come down and try it.
Question to the panel before I dive in with my other safe ones. Councillor Deacon.
Yeah, I shouldn't say I was lucky enough to do that.
Oh, shall I take this off?
That's okay, thank you. We might want to take a look at the club and what you're doing. And you certainly admire this, the very things that you're up to at the club, and it was very impressive. And if you haven't watched the canoe polo, do go watch them, because it's terrifying, and it's something that I think
It's very appealing to a younger.
Absolutely, yeah.
If I play, I do play and I enjoy it, but it's very appealing to an age group which I think are desperately needing that kind of social team sport at the moment.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. I think just two questions that link me. One is that sort of the equipment. If someone comes and tries, will you be able to know if they can use that equipment for the year, or as long as they kind of need to until they're able to purchase their own equipment?
Yeah.
Part A, so just as part B as well, which is I know that the club will also do community outreach, things like lift sticking down the river and stuff as you're going canoeing. Would this equipment help you to do more of those sorts of things as well?
This equipment would be used in the pool because it would be specific to the polo, and it is more expensive. So we wouldn't be using that on the river, apart from with the lighter evenings now, we can actually arrange a polo training or polo tournament on the river. So we can use that equipment for the polo. We wouldn't be using that for, anybody who wants to train in the polo boat or practice their polo skills, fine, take the paddles. But if you're going to be banging around up at the weir or playing around on there, then there's some other more robust equipment we'd rather they used. But yes, that's the whole idea, is to have that equipment there so that anybody coming to try polo, to just begin that sort of paddling career, really, it's not that financial outlay which is stopping them from continuing, really. Yeah.
Councillor Owen.
I'm just curious, so I understand the club fees, because you presumably paying structured for insurance,
Yeah.
kit and everything. So have you ever had anybody who literally can't afford it, and is there some sort of scheme that you have to kind of help out somebody?
Yeah, we have a concessionary discount, yes. But that's, you know, that would be, the committee would talk about that and decide when that can be applied, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, we do our best to include as far as possible. And I think when you look back through the membership, that's, you know, people have come from all different backgrounds at points in their lives when they've really needed a canoe club, and that kind of it's a family orientated club.
Two questions, slightly into each other. Looking at the accounts that you sent in, and luckily it looks like you've got quite a healthy bank balance, so just really
That
nice
was
to see.
a bequeath.
Yeah, but there was, it looked like you had around £20,000 in the bank with 10,000 in, 10,000 out, so it looked like that was quite stable. Is there a reason that you're not using that to buy the equipment?
Yes, there is. You know that there's the development programme, which is potentially going down that French Weir, and it looked like it could be affecting us, and we need to make sure that we've got some sort of contingency for that in the future as well. We're not sure what's around the corner as far as that development's going.
Okay, that's essentially ring events should you need to kind of find.
Yes. Well, yeah, we're going to need a lot more than that. So, but yeah, we certainly need some funds ready in case whatever would get thrown at us regarding that development. At one time, maybe a couple of years ago, just over a year ago, there was talk of moving us, which was a bit of a surprise to us. We had to. That's when I first got in touch with Councillor Tom Deacon, just to make sure that people understood that we were a canoe club there. I don't think people had realised exactly what we did down there.
Possibility moving, so I'm sure.
Well, I don't, yeah, that was like, is now sort of, oh, that will be 10 years down the line, but I'm not sure even those plans are set to go ahead now.
Should we find the equipment? Is there a chance we could have some town council branding on there?
Yes, there is, although it's not the voice, it's the helmet, it's spray decks and paddles, so I don't know how you do that, but if you want to. We haven't asked for the voice yet, because we acquired some, we were just in the right place at the right time and managed to purchase some boats actually. So we've got some second-hand boats which we've repaired and ready to use. We just need the equipment to go with them so that we can have beginners out using those boats.
And if you weren't successful and we didn't get you all or something, then would you still be able to go ahead with the project?
Well, I won't be able to I can't invite people, that I can't promote it, I can't encourage it, I can't advertise it if we haven't got the equipment, that minimum safety equipment for them to play. I'm sure I'll get inquiries and we will find ways of accommodating people, because that's what we do. But it won't be, I won't be able to advertise for to get a team together. We want to be, we need to be more inclusive than that. We will have people that can afford perhaps to buy their own kit, but like I say, it's suddenly becomes exclusive, doesn't it?
Stick up all my questions. Everyone else happy? Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your patience, everybody else, for getting there. Next we have the Horticultural and Floricultural Society, better known as the Flower Show. And then second box. How can you demonstrate the community need for this project?
Taunton Flower Show is a community-driven project, an event. It's been that way since its inception in 1831, and it continues to be run by the charity, which is volunteer-based. There are really two paid part-time staff, of which I'm one. And it is driven by volunteers and has a reputation as being a lovely show for traders and for visitors to attend. And that is down to the people of Taunton who volunteer and help to run the show.
If you weren't successful in getting grants, what's the pay?
The impact would be on the amount of activities we would be able to provide for children in the event that didn't cost anything. The volunteer directors are very adamant that they do not want families to come to the event and then have to pay more coming in. So we're looking to supplement what we can afford with some more activities to make it a place where families want to come, and then to benefit from education in horticulture and all of those aspects of that you know, children, you know, it's good to learn about. It encourages thinking about climate change and all of those sorts of things. So it's just it's a snowball effect if we can get people into the show.
So in my application, it said that you'd be looking at spending about 10% or using about 10% of funds to fund free or loans tickets, family on low income. Firstly, how do you allocate those? How do people access that? And how many tickets would that free up for those?
The plan, this is the first year that we've actually done this. So the plan would be to contact community fridges and groups like the food bank, and any sort of projects that are targeting and helping low income families, particularly around school food, you know, outside providing food outside of term time for children and etc. And the volunteer directors are happy to provide 10% of the amount of the grant that's given in tickets to those places for them to distribute however they see fit.
Okay, I just kind of done some kind of basic stuff. Is it £20 for a Saturday ticket, 25 for a Friday? Is it all about that?
Yes, so that's we've had to increase our prices this year to cope with the exponential rise in the cost of putting on the show. So yes, it would be 25 for, so yeah, it would be the cost of yeah, I'm not sure I can do the quick maths. But yes, I mean, it depends, you know, how much you are able to help us.
And with this funding, do you used to get any funding from other places, or is that equally source funding from other locations?
We've had no luck sourcing funding from other locations. I think partly due to the fact that whilst it is the oldest of our show in the country, it has a very Taunton-centric feel to it, and we have, you know, struggled to sort of get across the good things about it. So we have, and we've actually we've applied to horticultural charities who have also turned us down. So we have looked at, you know, funding from every location to help supplement the losses that we've incurred.
Is it definitely just the 10% that you'll be looking at allocating to free tickets? But are you looking at is it just the money from us that would be being used, or are you allocating subsidised tickets or free tickets from other areas of income?
I think for this year particularly, it would be based on the funding that we would receive here. I know that the directors would be open if you felt that you would like us to increase that. I would hope that it would increase as we progress, but at the moment our financial position is not such that this may be the last flower show if we can't progress forward. And everything we are working on is to keep the show going. But I don't think that 10% is not set in stone. If you felt you would like it to see it higher, I'm sure that is a discussion that we would be happy to have.
No idea. I mean, it is the oldest flower show in the country. It's amazing. I can't really think about flower show, and people want just that it will continue. And I'm very much keen that our young people, no matter what they like, can connect to access it.
Absolutely.
I thought in addition to maybe grants, what you could do is a pay it forward thing. So if I go and buy a ticket, I buy a ticket to somebody else. Broomhouse did this, their Christmas show last year. And think about, forget how many it was, there were about 100 people were able then to go to the Christmas show because of that initiative. I'm very keen to promote that. That might help in the great mix of things as well, if we want to sort of broaden access. So I just thought I'd throw that in.
No, thank you. That's a really good idea. I mean, you'd have to work out the admin side of that, but no, I think that's a really good idea, and I think that going forward, that would be something that we would be looking to do. We engage with the community at every point we can in our show. Engage with community groups. We've got lots of community groups performing, and our part is that this is an event that is community driven, as it always has been.
All the questions that I have. Anyone else has got anything to add? I think that's it.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Next we have terms of application care CIC.
Oh,
You've got one organisation, and I'm not going to answer that question.
oh, thank you so much.
Feel free to chime in, but your application was quite thorough in demonstrating the community needs, so thank you for adding all that information at the start. It's brilliant. I just wanted to ask what would be the impact if we didn't give you the grant money today?
So we are a new CIC that opened in January, but I have previously worked in breastfeeding support and parenting support for the last 5 years under Carry Me Kate, which you may recognise because you've definitely heard it, given them money before. But Carry Me Kate shut. I was one of the volunteers and started this. And so far we've swallowed about £250 worth of just the vital setup fees as volunteers. But we can't continue to do that. There are admin fees, there's poster printing, our general weekly running costs, things like that. And there's only going to be a point where we can't swallow that extra cost. But certainly if we're not getting our name out there and we're not being seen, that's going to have a huge impact then on who comes to see us, who reaches out for support. We've run for 10 weeks. And we've already had 70 people through our door. So that just shows how much need there is for the community. And that's those that we're reaching at the moment. We hope if we got some funding, we'd be able to get some more promotional materials out, reach out further, and we'd be able to reach a wider span of people.
And what other organisations would be able to support you? And obviously it's a very early days for you,
Yes.
so obviously starting small, but have you looked at what other organisations might be able to fund you in the future?
So we did look at Hinkley Point funding, but they believe that most of their staff live in the Bridgewater area. And so we're told that because we run in Taunton, we're not eligible for funding. However, our data that we've collected shows that 30% of the people that visit us in Taunton come from Bridgewater. And we have another proportion of another, say, 15% who live in Taunton are coming to see us, but still work at Hinkley. So we did explore that option. And then this was our second option we've gone to. We haven't gone further in terms of exploring other avenues just yet.
Councillor Deakin.
Just just pick up on the 70 people so far, how have they heard about you, kind of where they come from?
So we have so far, some of the costs that we've incurred is through printing. At the moment, we've done some posters that we've put up in some community venues around town, such as at the hospital, in Tesco's, things like that, in the library. We currently run a weekly support group at Boston Tea Party, who are giving us currently their space for free because we meet at a time when they're otherwise quiet. It's a bit of a win-win both ways. So they are sharing our posts on their social media, as well as the posters up and around town. The midwives at the hospital, the infant feeding team socials page, and in the posters in the postnatal ward at hospital, they're all sharing our information as well.
Councillor Ellis.
I just think my grandmother. I'm just so relieved that you're there. Frankly, I think, it's such, just thinking back to my lot, there was no, if you had a service like that, I would definitely have kept breastfeeding longer, because weird stuff happens and somebody tells you there's somebody getting freaked out about your baby's weight, and you think, God, I better give an extra bottle then, and then you lose the flow, you lose the flow quite literally, and everything goes up the swally. So I think this is, it's absolutely vital, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a no.
So just out of interest, it shows that when parents leave hospital, there is an 80% initiation rate of breastfeeding at the point they leave hospital. By a few weeks old, it's 16%, and by 6 months old, it's 1%, even though the World Health Organization say you should breastfeed for a minimum of 2 years to get the health benefits for the parent and the baby. Because breastfeeding not only is the nutrition value that we know, but it also decreases risks of osteoporosis, diabetes, certain gynecological cancers in the mother, gastrointestinal diseases and respiratory things in the baby. And just those rates going from 80% is what the hospital would say, or they leave on 80%. Actually, in just a few weeks, it's more like 15, 16%, and by 6 months, it's 1% currently. And if we can do anything to improve that even slightly, the health benefits for the parent and the baby are just going to increase.
Just a very practical question you've asked, if I remember right, £1,000. What exactly would you use that on? Just things, you're doing what the NHS should be doing. I can understand that, but it's such a loan.
So the NHS, actually, their midwife-run drop-in breastfeeding clinics only support babies up to 4 weeks old. We offer anything from antenatally before the parent has had the baby, right up until whichever point they breastfeed. So that could be 5, 6 years old in theory. That's naturally when babies historically would have weaned. Now, we have insurance costs. So at the moment, our insurance is lower. We are offering the minimum service that we can, given finances. However, if we were to have £150 more, that would allow us to offer. So I am also a trained baby wearing consultant from Carry Me Kate. And so I would be able to offer that. Our current insurance doesn't offer that. One of my colleagues, who's also a breastfeeding counsellor like me, she is about to hopefully pass her exam to be a lactation consultant. That offers a higher level of breastfeeding care, much more specialised, more medicalised areas that I'm not trained in. But again, at the moment, we can't offer that support. So we're going to need an annual fee of around £150 just for insurance. We need to keep our qualifications with the national charity that we qualified by. There are 3 of us on our team at the moment. Again, that's about another £150. Then we've got our printing, and we hand out regularly when I go to the library, because I do a baby boogie session and a drop-in session at the library. I'm handing out business cards or posters. That incurs the ink and paper these days is quite expensive. We also, within that, so our real minimum running fees per year are going to be more like 500 ongoing. But because we're setting up, we really want to invest in some good quality resources so that we can give parents the best start. So we would like a weighted demo doll that actually moves and sits like a baby rather than a teddy bear. But they're £100, one that actually has hip joints and things like that. we would like to invest in the resources that the parents might use. So we can say, well, have you tried this? Look, I've got one here and this is how it used. So things like nipple shields, silicone pumps, all of those resources that we can have firsthand to show them how to use it properly. But all of those, £20 here, £50 here, £30 here, and it very quickly adds up. We would also like, as part of that, as our setup costs, and these things I'm listing now are a one-off cost. So whilst it is a big amount now, our ongoing yearly cost would be much less. So we would like to have a lending library of evidence-based books. Things like you were saying a minute ago about the pressure and the poor information from outside, pressures to feeling to stop. That's what social media does these days, and pressure, societal pressure. We would like to have evidence-based books we can loan to parents with the research around breastfeeding that are easy to read. And so that would be something we'll only need to spend once on. Hopefully we'll then, as we said, it's a lending library, we'll get it back. So there are a lot of resources there that are going to equate to about half that money that they would only need to be spent once.
Very much. So I benefited was very similar back 20 years ago when I had my first library, perhaps you know the benefits.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for offering the service that you do. It's really
Just on a personal note, I was told at just a few weeks old I would never be able to exclusively breastfeed my baby, but because of support from volunteers like myself, so the Carry Me Kates, I'm still breastfeeding him at 5 and managed to get to that point. So I know firsthand how important it can be, but we're relying on volunteers and not the NHS, who should be providing the service. So
thank you very much. Now have the Taunton Town Football Club and Richard Smith.
But
I will start with the same.
yeah, okay.
Can you demonstrate the need for the project that you're asking for?
Yeah. I think what the first thing to say is Taunton Town Football Club it's not just what's historically known as a men's football team. It is a club, and we have already a number of additional teams that wish to play at the ground. An under-18s women's team will be starting as from next season. Men's walking football, as well as a lot of charities and youth teams that wish to use the pitch. So our funding application is actually with regards to maintaining what is a very fragile piece of grass that is in constant use and is one of the few full-size floodlit football grounds available to the community.
Obviously, it's a big project.
Yes.
Normally our grants are capped at about £2,500.
Yeah, we understand that. Yeah.
What impact will it have on the project? What sort of backups do you have if you grant the full amount?
Ultimately, this is something that we've got to try and achieve. Whether it's something we achieve this pre-season or it's something that's done over a period of years remains to be seen. We are still trying to access funding through commercial sponsorship and other funding avenues. Sports England is another one that we are exploring. It would be a blow, but it'd be like what a lot of people said. We would have to sort of relook at the figures and decide what we can and can't do. It might, cheaper tractor or something. It could be anything along those sorts of lines. But the fact of the matter is that there's something that does need to be done. We need to explore every avenue available to us.
You mentioned the tractor. I just wanted to check, because that was quite a large part.
Yeah.
Is that to purchase or it's also hired? Because I know that tractors are monumentally expensive. So
They are. I think our initial thought is to purchase it and own it ourselves, and because I think in the long run, because they hold their value and actually it's not going to do many miles, as it were. So we feel that we'll get quite value for money out of it. But that goes towards really the constant maintaining of the pitch moving forward. And I think we are in a situation where something's got to be done now And then obviously then budgeting moving forward through all of the club's income and revenue about how we maintain it moving forward. But at the moment, the pitch itself could be an asset to the club that is a revenue generating, and unfortunately at the moment, because how fragile it is, we just can't explore any of those at the moment.
Thank you, Chair. The only thing I look at, the track, I'm really concerned about that, but the drainage, you definitely need drainage now, don't you?
We do need drainage.
Was it 4 matches now?
Yeah.
Lost, which
Yeah.
you lost obviously value for it. So if we had to decide on something, I'm not saying that it's so motivating, but if it was, say we decided on if you drain it, you also need to then resurface them, because the drainage goes in about 3 foot.
Yeah, yes, I think the drainage is the key issue. I mean, just to put this into context, we're in a situation now where we have significant games in hand because we're unable to play. So this is the men's team. We're not been able to play the games in February and some of March. The league have said essentially that's not their problem. The league won't extend the league date. So if we can't actually get our matches on, and our next one is on Thursday and the remaining ones next week, we have to play elsewhere. And if we do that, that costs us and we won't get the gate money. So there's nothing about any of this that can solve. We have to solve that problem in the next couple of weeks anyway. But yes, drainage will be is the key. So it isn't necessarily about the tractor, and it could be argued that we could wait for that. That's about ongoing maintenance and being able to get games on in the next season and 5 seasons on from now.
Am I right? If you have to force to play somewhere else, you lose all gate money, don't you? You don't get any gate money at all. I'm not sure how it works. Should have been some use to support you.
Essentially so it actually happened last week. We had to go and play in Gloucester.
Yeah.
And we instead of probably getting 1,000 people through the gate, we got 126. Well, we got the 126, but we also had to pay to play at Gloucester, and that 126 didn't cover that. So it does have quite a significant detrimental effect on the club.
Thank you.
That's looking very thoughtful.
Yeah, and if it's literally like at this point, any amount of money would help, even if it was quite small, you'd be able to do something useful with it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
okay. My husband come saying, and I might have actually declared something, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's got an advert on he hasn't, and Rebecca, what's it?
Yeah.
I think you're going to tap pair of them up for whatever you're sure I don't know what that is, I have no idea.
All sponsorship balls are up for renewal at the end of the season, and we are having contact on that.
It's prime time.
Yeah.
So I suggest the charges there go boom, and I did not say that. Okay?
Well, to be clear, we are so because of all of the other teams that want to play here, and women's is the key one for us as well. We want to do that. We actually have Taunton Town actually technically hasn't got an under-18s team, which is just, it baffles me really. But that is what the board are now instigating, because that just feeds into the other side of things. So having all of those teams available to actually does gain us more access to more funding. So. But we need the heart of the club is the pitch, and we can't do anything without it, so and we are sort of somewhat stuck with what we've got. I don't know if anyone knows, but it actually was ex-landfill, so it moves. So we have so it's landfill, clay, about that much of topsoil, and then the grass. So we are, and you can actually over a season see it move. So where it always used to flood doesn't now, flood somewhere else. So it is quite a problem for us, and we've got to try and address it.
You mentioned Sporting Road for What stage are you at that and how quickly are you?
Not even downloaded the application form. So we are, so our board and most of the club is run by volunteers. There is only 2 full-time members of staff at the club. So the rest of it is all done through volunteers, and all those people work full-time. So, you know, we are taking it piecemeal as much as we can do what we can do, really.
There's no way you can get actually your requirements, so it's hard to know where you.
No, I don't know where we are. I mean, I'm not sure we'd qualify. So, you know, I haven't got that far. The fact of the matter is, I think it's quite well documented that the club has been going through quite a turbulent time this season. So we are somewhat pretty much taking it one day, if not 1 week at a time, trying to just really get to the end of the season so we can then have a bit of a reset. But unfortunately, if we can't get games on, that will pretty much be the end of the club, really.
Mine takes off.
No? Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Nearly there. Next we have Tiffany Gibbs, EIC, Emily Murphy. It's time for everyone to change your organisation and name something that's not your name. Top tip next year.
Too late now, good on.
AA taxi approach. So I'm going to get the same questions. Yes, how can you demonstrate the seeking for your project?
Well, I think our numbers speak for themselves recently. Since we became a CIC in 2022, the majority of our concerts have been sold out, and we've offered them at a real minimum price for people attending. The ones in Christmas ones and holiday ones are always sold out, and I mean we have a waiting list, so I think that demonstrates a community need for it. We are the only thing that's kind in the area where young children can get up close to instruments like a harp last week or a bassoon. There isn't anywhere else you can go where an 18-month-old can strum a harp. Other than going further afield, obviously, to there's a similar concert series in Bath. But that's about it. In terms of events for children, obviously there's a lot going on at the Brew House, but cost is obviously an issue there because they cost quite a lot of money to see the tickets to see the shows. And also we're sort of unique in that we don't expect the children to sit on a chair or stay still. So it's quite relaxed, quite is an understatement, it's a very relaxed environment as performers find out. So yeah, and there's also an element of being a sort of obviously secondary to people like Taunton and patient care, but sort of community support for the parents. I could talk for hours, like Somerset Opera, about the benefits of live music, particularly for young children. Has massive benefits to young children, but also to their parents. PMD is a real issue for new mothers and second-time mothers, and singing with your child and listening to live music is proven to reduce the chance of that happening. And at our concerts, we do a sort of bit of a sing along at the end, but it's very much you can engage how you want to engage with it. So I have some parents who come and they just sit at the back and they don't engage in the same way as the ones who are right at the front, but it's totally up to them how they do it.
So in terms of cost, what is the price structure? How does it work?
So it's changed a few times. And before I became a CIC, I had to charge a ticket price that would cover all my costs of fee. I was quite successful with a couple of funding rounds back in 2022, and that funding's only just started, well, it's run out now. But for a long time, I charged a minimum donation of £2 for a family. But I have other options to pay more. So I had a lot of people who would pay more if they could afford to pay more. But equally, some people just paid the £2. I've now increased that to £5, but I keep the £2 option there for low income families. And the only reason it's not free is that I feel that if you charge a very minimal amount, then people will sort of more committed to coming rather than if it's just completely free, and then I know my numbers a bit better. And we do provide refreshments, so you know, and it's for a family as well. So for £2, they can bring 2-3 kids and have a cup of tea and have a biscuit and a piece of cake each, which and obviously the live music. So yeah.
If we didn't give you the grant funding today, would you still be able to go ahead with your project?
We would, but in a different kind of way in how we used to do it, which sometimes came out of my own bank balance, or it resulted in me doing concerts, which at the moment I am doing one next week, but I'm trying to avoid, since I'm having a baby, that somebody else needs to perform. But so I often have solo performers, like the well-known Taunton trumpeter, Louis Martello, and they obviously cost me less because it's just one person and they might be very local. But I'd love to have a more variety and have bands sometimes, like from one of the bands from Sound of the Streets. I was interested in getting them to come along, couldn't quite find a date that worked. And obviously that costs a lot more money because then you're paying for 3-4 performers rather than just the one. And that is really where funding is required, because I can just about cover the cost of the church hire and one performer if I have a good turnout for the concert. But the second you have a second performer, or they're coming from a bit further afield and they want travel costs, it just means that I then have to escalate the ticket costs. And previously, when I did have higher ticket costs, the number, I mean, I was very new in the infancy then of the organisation, but also the numbers were nothing like they were now. So I think it shows that people want to come, but obviously money is an issue for it, particularly as a parent of young children paying nursery costs.
Questions that I prepped in advance. So you run classes as well. So what proportion of people come to your concerts that would be absolutely paid classes, and how many are just people from the local community that have heard? So it's good.
So our classes, they're on pause for a little bit for the moment for maternity leave, but our concerts aren't. The classes they do not make any money, and the main reason I do the classes is because I have a child of the same age and I didn't have anywhere that I felt that was a good class for him to go to, that I wanted to do as a music educator myself. But I have a lot of people found the classes through the concerts or the other way around. The classes are much smaller and they are more, you know, obviously I sing and I say you don't have to sing, but it's a much smaller group. So if there's more anxious parents, then it might not be the right environment for them. Whereas a bigger concert where you can just sit in the back and join in how you wish to join in, it's a bit more, I feel that they're more accessible for everybody rather than classes which obviously with a limited amount kids, there's a different dynamic for it. But yeah, the classes I do, they're still the same structure, and then it's and I do a discount for a certain amount if they come along for 4, but I still have the low income option on there, so that is used. But I don't really ask for much information and people don't abuse it. It's just a couple of used every time, which is nice to know that it's there as an option.
Additional questions to ask you.
It's not really a question, you know, I really could want to bring one around. Is it alright if mum, granny and baby? Like,
Yes, my mum is often there as the chief volunteer cake maker, and hopefully as childcare sometimes. Sometimes I have to remind her to love my own children. But yeah, it's the price I do as well. I do as like I sort of say bring, you know, it's a family cost, so that there's not really any additional cost if you're bringing 4 people or 2 people, and then I try and keep we have a maximum number of 30 families, because I did discover very early on there is a maximum amount of toddlers that you want in one space. So it's a learning curve. So I do keep an eye on the numbers, and if like every booking is actually 3 children, then I go, oh, 20 families now. But yeah, it's quite a sort of, it's just like a price per family rather than per adult or per child, which works quite well, I found recently. So.
spoken to once. Councillor Tully, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. This is, it might sound a silly question to you, but you say the Taunton Dean. Now, we are Taunton Town Council. People reading that may misconstrue what's actually being said, because the grants we give are we for the town, not old town, the old Taunton Dean. That's what you.
Yeah, apologies. I meant more like the area in that people that attend our concerts obviously are from within the Taunton Dean area, largely. We do have people come from much further away. I've had people from Exeter, Bridgewater, all manner of places. But generally, obviously, our target market is very much Taunton because we're right since moving church after we started after the pandemic. I moved the church to St James's. We are right slap bang in the middle of town, so it also has the benefit of other businesses around there, and also people want to go into town afterwards and stuff. It's really well located for that.
Sorry, Chair, it's just that it's written down as Taunton Dean. We don't misunderstand it and the words.
Absolutely noted. I think I've got all my questions over ticked off. I'll look like they're happy. Thank you very much for coming. And finally, thank you so much for your patience. Stay to be supportive. But I'm just getting bedtime. So we've got a bit more allotments, and I'm assuming this is Wayne Lewis.
No, it's Mark Bailey. He couldn't make it. He knew he was last on the list.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So it should be allotments, way more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then actually, you're the only other group that I've not written down establishing community need because your application actually filled that section.
Oh.
In. So thank you very much for all the detail that you provided. But I will start by asking what impact would that have on the project if we didn't grant you the money or only gave you a partial grant?
Well, we're an allotment of 76 members and we haven't got any facilities at all. We've got water that comes in, but we haven't got any electricity, and we've got nowhere to shelter from the rain or any toilet facilities. And we desperately need a structure the way we can hold meetings. At the moment, we have to go, if we have a committee meeting, we go to Staple Grove Village Hall and hire that out. And if we have a coffee morning, we use a pop-up gazebo. So we need some sort of structure that we could use.
I appreciate part of the project is the composting toilet, which obviously, especially when a food morning, essential, but
it's right.
Expenses of the I'm sure.
And we've got a lot of women and families that come down there. It's not all old men at the allotments, like you can imagine.
Have you applied to anywhere else for? I think you mentioned. I think Wessex Water was mentioned in there. Have you made that application yet?
Yeah, we had terrible trouble last year with our water supply. All our pipes were old, etc. And we spent a lot of money identifying where the leaks were. And we're going to apply to Wessex Water now to try and help us out with that. We're going to get these large water containers and hopefully store some water.
Councillor Sally.
Yeah, I see what's about Wessex Water. If Wessex Water didn't cough any that plant, what would you buy for £5,000? You're not going to get much on it.
No, well, the main thing's on this, the actual structure. But we've managed to buy a couple of water containers, and people have small sheds, but the runoff is quite a lot from when it rains, especially lately.
Yeah.
In terms of, was it, what anywhere else you looked at applying, if we gave you some funding, would that help our seed funding? Or is the Wessex Water a completely separate pot that wouldn't rely on our funding?
A separate pot, I think, really. Yeah. We charge £30 a year and we've kept it at that for the last couple of years. So hopefully we don't want to put the rent up too much more.
With the panel, if anyone's about to stick their hand up. Fair comprehensive information on your application, but I think the quote for the log cabin was only about £4,500. I'm assuming that is based on one that you've already found. That seems quite cheap to me.
We've looked at trying to get the cheapest one. Obviously, if we had some money, we could perhaps look a bit higher.
Do you have funds set aside already to part of this?
No, we have limited funds really. There's one of those places where there's always something to pay for. Like even if you drive through the track, always needs updating and repairing. And there's always something to pay for.
Normally other ones are capped at 2,000, that's not kind of standard, and your application for higher. So would you still be able to go ahead with the project if we only gave you that sort of partial funding?
I think we'd struggle. We've looked at trying to get some money for elsewhere, fundraising, and but at the moment we have any surplus veg in the summer goes to the local charity, so we can't sell any food. It's only usually courgettes in the summer that people put in the bag.
It's limited the amount of money you can raise from surplus in the summer, it's in the same position. Do I have any other questions from the panel? No, I think that concludes all of our applications.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much.
Apologies for you having to right at the end.
No. Thanks very much, Denise.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, you asked me a question and I told you I'd go back to supplementary. Would you like a supplementary answer to that now? Some of the money in question.
If you have the answer to that now, that would be really useful. Thank you.
The modern technology of mobile phones, etc.
So councillors, thank you very much, Mike, for inviting me back. So you asked specifically about an expenditure that had been noted on refreshments. I can say that the refreshments cover quite a wide gambit. We have about 40 volunteers to staff the show, and we provided light refreshments to those staff during the briefings leading up to the show, to setting up day prior to the show, to during the show, and the breakdown day after the show. So that's one expenditure. We also hosted a corporate and VIP tent where we garner support for this year's event. I should also point out that the expense sheet you showed was all costs. We didn't actually accredit any of those costs to any individual incoming budget. So I can't actually say that any grant from the council was used to support those expenses last year. But what I can say is this year we will make sure and we will highlight where your grant has been used, and it will be used for the hard facts, the insurance, the fencing, etc. We're trying this year. We've got corporate sponsors, and we're selling tables to pay for refreshments, etc.
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to explain. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you happy to move straight on to deliberation? Was anyone desperate? Doesn't it work? We're due to finish at 9 o'clock. We've got half an hour. If anyone's desperate for a maximum 5-minute coffee break, we could suspend standing orders for 5 minutes,
5 minutes.
but 5 minutes.
It's a lovely, good idea for things. Thank you, folks.
Thank you for coming.
Much pleasure. I'm trying to read out.
Probably I'm just gonna step out. So, and no sweater.
If we give everybody wants, that's 103,000. I don't know that. The football club say, sorry, no tractor. The rest of it, they got it. I was at the times.
Well, yeah,
They can't manage.
well, they're in the relegation zone.
Well, I think that they may even lose their thing from going into it, because also then their
Yeah.
pictures might up to the standard and needs to be.
Yeah. They've got to do days. We'll start.
They're making a suggestion, tell them to say it. That's why I feel getting the Brendan bloody thing.
Yeah. It's a much.
It's all clay, it's all clay down there.
Well, I didn't understand. That and then clearing that sort of.
Yeah, so it's not much soil on itself.
No.
I think that's the trouble, the soil slowly is washed off.
Don't you know?
Away.
Yeah,
The surface drop,
yeah. It's just lying there.
and it's just,
They're gonna go for it with claim, what you do.
they were lucky the FA said they could, postpone 3 of the matches. The last one they just said they can't, they've got to put that playing Gloucester.
But it won't.
Huh?
It won't, do
Yeah.
it? That's just blow away more. Had a military wife about it. Easy.
That's the way I feel. I've been at a meeting this morning, I was one this afternoon, and this one tonight.
Too much in one day. Canoe, what was it, canoe what?
Sorry,
What canoe thing, canoe,
this canoe, it's like polo.
canoe photos?
Yeah. In the canoes, you sit in the canoes and then instead of being swimming like the water polos, they do canoe.
They put a river in Singapore.
They can do it, they do it in the swimming pool now,
Do they?
but they can do it on the river if the river's fast. I think that's one of their problems, then because they have to have all the safety
Yeah.
for the rivers.
Can't do it, canoe polo.
There's a lot of things that the river could be used for. There used to be, which I never knew about, a raft race on the, yeah. I was talking to an old guy, a month back, and he thought that was an annual event. They used to have to build the raft and then go so far down the river.
Gosh, I bet it was a good fellow.
Doing the bridge.
I'm,
What's doing the bridge?
it's going to be in the 6 months, yeah.
Is it?
There's quite a lot of street hands to.
Yours.
Some of them annoy me like that, that's, well, no,
Well,
that, no, it should be, this should be done by the
because it
NHS,
should, because it should.
but they don't do it anymore.
No.
That's what things are going on. Yeah.
That's really level working.
Yeah,
This thing, isn't it?
and it's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Welcome back, everybody.
Thank you.
I've been rested after the we've got a scoring chart, which was mostly building in advance. I can fill it in as we go. We can go through one by one and also quickly fill in the bits. If you happen to just literally go through alphabetically and see how we feel about each application. Councillor Ellis.
Just for future reference, can we have paper scoring things so that we can do it as a general online?
It's, well, the scoring is basically, it's a single score as opposed to each person individually scoring it. So it's literally yes or no. So you can have, we can do, obviously you can see what the questions are, but it's not us each individually giving them scores.
If he was a group.
Yeah, so it's a kind of a team effort, but most of this has been built in advance based on the information that was given in their application forms. And I think the application forms are going to be tweaked in the future that will include more of the questions that we've added in. So most of these we will know the answers to before the applicants actually come to present.
How much exactly have we got to spend, or can we spend?
This is the start of the financial year, so we have the brand new budget pot, but if we notionally divide it into 4, so that we spread it through the year, and know that last year we were asked for money right the way through. I think a quarter of it is about 16,250 is a quarter of our grants budget. So
If you include the sponsorship, 22.5.
well, sponsorship is so ring fenced. I think you have to look at it separately. So we have counted how much is the sponsorship budget this year?
And 25.
25,000.
If you divide the whole lot by 4, because you can move it on.
Yeah. So if we know, I mean, notionally, we're looking at about £16,500, but knowing that if we drastically exceed that, we will have considerably less to give out later in the year.
Yeah.
Councillor Ellis.
Presumably you have the option though to do 3 rounds rather than 4. Tomorrow night we're going to agree the meeting calendar.
If we run out, then we run out. But the idea is to have 4 grant rounds. If we, it's a bridge we have to cross as we come to it, but it's good to have a plan and an intention. So if we start at the beginning, I think we're looking at Arts Taunton. One of the questions that we added in was, can they demonstrate there's a community need for the project? In future, I'd like to see that documented, so they can actually show documentary evidence that they've done some kind of consultation, that they have something in their constitution, that they have membership consultation to show that there is a need. So at the moment, it's just a verbal question. How do you think? How vital is the Arts Taunton project in terms of community need? It's not a yes or no, really. So it's a one. It's a 1 or a 0. They were asking for £5,000 as a total, which obviously exceeds our £2,500 target. Councillor Deacon.
I think it's great what they're trying to achieve. My only concern is it just feels very expensive, and I don't quite And I just through my lack of knowledge, I don't quite understand why the cost of that compared to things like the Dragon that's already there, and the Dragon's half that. Not, well, I don't know, it just the design costs feel like a lot, because they've only got one point of reference for the design costs. The artist can put in whatever. That's the bit that just concerns me a little bit about it.
Councillor Evans.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that that's possible, but I've got a lot more detailed knowledge and I've seen the concept drawings, that it's not just one piece, it's a whole kind of linked series of pieces with an awful lot of work going in, because it's not just, I'm gonna make this now and put it somewhere, I mean, I help commission, but this is another order of magnitude. So she's done this other piece of work, which is along one of the sort of Cornish to the path, massive stretch. And it's like that, it's the same, similar kind of vibe where you're kind of connecting with a quite hidden history and engaging with residents to create something really rather special and unique. So this is something that's going to be mega high quality. People internationally like hearing about it, looking at it and thinking, wow. And it's just a huge, it is a big thing. So that's why I'm so keen to Taunton, because it isn't taking us another, it's going up another level. And that's why people like, you know, people like her and people amazing. I was absolutely stunned the number of incredible international artists who were wanting to come, really vying to actually, you know, work with Arts Taunton and do this piece of work. So this is a whole different level to what we've ever had. So it's going to be a bit of a first.
I should have asked them, but obviously they've got an artist already lined up. The artist has already been agreed. And yeah, my concern is the fact that that amount of money is there for the design cost alone, not the construction. The actual whole project is looking at in excess of £30,000. And yeah, I'm just very wary about the design costs, but I am aware that it will be a benefit to Taunton once we have a large piece of art. I'd propose that we give them £2,500 as seed funding to enable them to get Arts Council funding.
It is seed funding that they need, and they need, you know, it's a small amount of people at least demonstrate to the Arts Council that they've got buy-in, local, you know, the local authority is really key for us, you know, we don't have that much money, so I'd be happy to go on that. Or pencil.
That's true. Thank you for the reminder. So if we pencil in, and then we can, do the official proposal in a second. Yeah, thank you. Get carried away.
I just thought, the way we did it last time, you were able to benchmark, you know, against each other, I felt.
Yeah, community men and sheds is our one. The downside of not having filled in the score sheet, and that last we went through into the highest scoring, the lowest scoring, and picked them out. And I haven't in the meeting, but your feelings on community men and sheds getting some money?
Definitely, it's such a fabulous project. It really contributes to huge amount as well. I'm sure not going to feed in sort of mental health benefits going there. That's self-esteem you get from actually, Michael, look what we've done in our community, and lots of people see the benefits of it. So it's simply a question of how much to my mind.
Yeah, I'm very happy to support them. They asked £4,500 for their project. Again, we would normally give it a maximum of £2,500. I'd be very happy to pencil that in for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Heat Festival is our next one. I think there's been some concern about the budgeting of this amount of money. The funding model essentially, and how those funds are spent. Councillor Deakin.
I think the thing with it is, and I think this will be quite tough, is it can still go ahead.
Yeah.
Without funding, so I think that's the part plus for it. I don't want to totally rehash what I said to the representative when they came. I'm still not totally convinced that they've done the business engagement that they say they have, if I'm honest, and I don't know if I'd be comfortable giving them more funding, is like, just my own view, that I've seen more evidence of that. Because it's just not the noises that I'm picking up from the businesses on the ground. And I appreciate that much because they just have a difference of opinion, and that's fine. But I'd be much more comfortable with some more documentation of some of that activity that they've been doing. And if they could provide that, then I wouldn't be against them coming back again maybe to help support their December event. But personally, I don't know if I'm comfortable at the moment. I support them.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. And just to say, having filled in the column with the score charts, for comparison, community men and sheds scored a healthy 7 out of 10. And Heat Festival then scored 3 against our criteria that we set. So they are relatively low scoring or low priority in terms of where the funding should go. I'll pencil in 0 for now. And we can come back to that one. The military wise hire, which was a relatively small amount, £600, which covers 2 events. Councillor Tully.
Yeah. I personally think we should support them totally this time. I really do. We need to check about what if Westmonton are given. As far as I know, I don't think they are, but Westmonton did engage them. Maybe go to half if it's only for the Library Park. I something in my back of my mind thinks that Westmonton, they engaged them. I know that. So whether or not they actually said that they were paying, I don't know. We need to check that out.
I'd be happy to pencil in the £600 and just double check.
Yeah, we need to know that.
Definitely check the D-Day because we obviously are part of the organisers of that one.
Yeah.
And we've heard back from the Armed Forces Day. Next we have the Armed Forces Day. Yes, this year we were looking at whilst it was an application for a grant, this would actually fit our sponsorship criteria because it is a free event. So we can do that from the sponsorship pot, which they can be much more flexible in how they use the money. So Deacon?
Personally, I think we should watch them and provide the funding that they've asked for. But last year's event was
Brilliant.
so good in the town. It was so well attended, and not just the environment department, but the whole town. There was a real buzz, and I think if we want to host the National Armed Forces Day here, which I think is our ambition, we should support them again at the same time, I think, as last year. And I think the cabinet sort of mentioned again around what that specific issues for. I think it's quite important, but personally, I think we should support them.
Yeah.
It's the amount was £5,000 that was requested, so we can pencil that into the sponsorship pots rather than the grants pots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the next ones where they're applying for less than your 2.5, you still should maybe think about not granting the whole amount so that you're not busting your budget this time. You may want to look at that as the top amount they've applied, like you looked at the others with 5,000 and 4.5 and you've reduced it. You might want to think about that for these as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Tully.
I agree with Sally. I think that people will ask for more at any rate, knowing that we will drop them down. So I think we should think about that.
I'm also thinking about something that just the next one.
Yeah. I'm open to penciling in a notional amount, whether it's the full amount or you definitely suggest a lower amount, and then we can go back and adjust if it looks like a really large amount by the time we get to the end. That's the
only thing I would say though on that logic is that if people are getting more known that they would get half, we're accidentally peanut-lighting people who have actually stuck up the number that they have to follow. So I think we need to be a little bit careful, otherwise we just only half everything and actually we're penalising what you stuck to the broad rules.
Yes.
Chair, before we go on, it's a silly question. Are we still being recorded?
Yes.
Right, thank you.
Now, the next one is Sunset Comedy Festival. And I thought there was some fantastic things about this proposal, but I'm just interested in looking down the scoring chart. It's only scored 2 out of 10, unfortunately. I may have been being slightly harsh, but it's partly because it's a new organisation. There isn't an actual demonstrable community need for the project. Whilst it's fantastic, there is no demonstration that it's not a community-led enterprise rather than a real passion. It's a passion project, which is fantastic. It actually hasn't looked for funding elsewhere. Realistically, there's no track record of a similar project, and it's not free at point of use. Just that's why it's scored low. It's not necessarily that it's a terrible thing, but it's just that kind of criteria that worked. Councillor Ellis.
Yeah, I was going to say she's got a very strong track record. She's got a relationship. The very reason she even think of doing this is because she's got that experience and she goes to Edinburgh. She knows a lot of these comedians, and the need arises from the fact that people are always complaining, why can't we have this here? Why can't we have this here? And that's what she's responding to. So that's the goal, is to give people something that they've been kind of chomping at the bit for. I think this quite, I love the element about having autism friendly sessions and bringing in performers who are neurodivergent, and I think there's a lot here. To my mind, this is like seed funding. This is festival number one. And where, as I remember what Trish said, was getting the back of the Taunton Town Council as well, and then unlock sponsorship. So it probably would be something that we would have to necessarily fund every year. I definitely think we want a relationship with it somehow. We want to kind of be allied with, because I think it's going to be amazing. But this is very much the seed funding to get, to enable it to confidently go full
Yeah, I agree with what Caroline says. If you think about the Notting Hill Carnival, when it first started, 3 floats. It's now the second biggest in the world. And I think something like this will take off. Really do.
Absolutely, I'm really happy to back it. It was interesting that the scoring. I have tweaked a couple of things based on the feedback. I think that's possibly being a bit harsh with the ones in the zeros. So we can pencil in the amount to support it. Sadly, it can't have sponsorship because it's not a free event, which is a shame. We can't do it that way.
Can we pencil in what she's asked for and then come back to it? Needs.
Yes, yeah, we can do that. Sunset Film and Video is the next one. I was personally very impressed with the presentation on this one and what it covers. It's a shame that it didn't come out of our youth grant because it fit criteria, but it's quite a new project. So I appreciate it. The timing wasn't ideal for that. I'm assuming everyone's in for that one. There's no brainer.
That's the
Can you remind me what the fee structure was, or was this one completely free? This issue was. I think it's like, I think they have got NPO funding, but they're not looking for services. This one does score 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
If it's free,
4 days of free activity.
in that case, we could look at doing that from the sponsorship budget, and I'd be very happy to do that. Yeah. And they were looking at 2,475. 91. Sorry, I don't. I'm very on my. Yes, next we have Somerset Opera. And this was the, Eda Robin workshops. Councillor Deakin.
So I thought this was, it was another really good project and nice kind of grassroots thing that was got the ground. I think they've asked for £1,000.
Yeah.
That was to fund two. They said their first one was actually already funded underwritten. So I think we can still fund the extra one and probably give them half the money.
Yeah.
£500 to get them in onto another one. But I don't think we need to fund another two, so that'd be three. So I think so.
Yeah, that's really.
So I've pressed £500 to support them. I don't think it's a given the full amount necessary.
Let's do that. And come on to the Taunton Artistic Swimming Club. Councillor Talley.
Just to remind you that this is very similar to someone we turned down last time.
It is the same.
It's very similar. So I possibly say yes to one and no to the other.
I saw the reason that we turned them down last time was it was because they were applying for a youth grant and it didn't really fit the criteria, so it wouldn't be this, they're perfectly eligible to apply for this.
Oh, yes, I agree that.
To apply for this, and turning them down would be, yes, it's judged on slightly different merits, this one. They are scored 2 on our score chart, unfortunately.
The membership fees are quite high, aren't they?
They're very high.
I think that was, we were thinking that actually that they're not enormously high compared to standard lessons for kids. Next, I'm fully aware they're in difficulties because they split with the other club. So they have got, you know, they're struggling slightly more in terms of finances. But the money that's been requested is for essentially ongoing running costs, and we can't provide that year on year.
No.
Councillor Deakin.
I think why I'm looking quite closely at this one is because I'm conscious that lots of the grants that we go on so far, not just the ceiling, but just generally have gone to arts and cultural organisations, not for bad reasons. It's great we support so many, and I think it would be a shame to not support, you know, like sporting groups. Yeah, so it is. Yes, but it's also got a link to sport, which the next one has as well. And I think we should be conscious of diversifying where our grants are going, and even if we don't give them the full amount, I think it's £2,500, even £1,500 or something, to give them the opportunity to continue. But on the premise that this is a one-off, we can't fund you like this every year. I don't know, I wouldn't be against that. £1,500 would also be, we shouldn't necessarily put them together, but that would also be the same amount that new club are asking for. So they're giving them this, so I don't know.
I think there's a difference between the two. I would really like to support all sport-related projects because we have an overwhelming number of arts-based projects that come to us. So it would be good to support different activities. The difference between the two, the Taunton Artistic Spring Group have no money and no money in reserve. The Canoe Club have £20,000 in the bank. They also had last year that's ring-fenced for a potential need, but it's not in any way concrete. It's they have £20,000 as essentially a very safe rainy day safety net, but the Artistic Swimming Group don't have that. One of these organisations will likely fold if we don't support them in some way. The other one can't expand, well, we can't expand as much, but could if they spent their savings. So looking at where the greatest need is and the biggest impact of our grant money, the organisations, whilst Taunton Artists really doesn't sort it, then highly it's more make or break.
It just sounds like they're just limping along, don't they?
Obviously, I think you need to think about how they're going to become sustainable going forward. And is the funding that you're going to give them help with that? And I don't know the answer to that question from what they're asking you to fund for the civic.
Yeah, I don't know if partly it's because they have just split with the other group. They have been going for a very long time. And it might be that they just need something to tide them over to help get the numbers back up, get their sub money back up and make them more sustainable. So it might be that a small grant as a one-off to help with their running costs. In that we know that we can't do the same thing next year, but by next year they might be in a more stable position and be able to help themselves. And whilst it doesn't necessarily have to be the full amount, I think giving them £1,000 to help with running costs so that they can exist. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we come to the Taunton Canoe Club who wanted £1,500 for their polo equipment, which sounds brilliant. Does sound like a fantastic project. I don't know if it's suspend Sally Orders and agreeing that we're going to carry on beyond 9 o'clock. I'm proposing it. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ellis, all those in favour? Sorry, people. Sorry. I think that was unanimous that we will continue past 9 o'clock to finish debating. Thank you for the reminder. Yes, Taunton Canoe Club. Right, yeah, I fully support them in principle as a really fantastic club and a really great organisation. I'm just aware that their bank balance is incredibly healthy and don't necessarily think they need to come to us for that money. They've got money in the bank that we're paying. They've got £20,000 in the bank for a project that is not definite. It's just in case. And as far as I'm aware, I don't know what development the French we would force them to move in the next year or two.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused now. So they're based at the moment by me.
Yeah.
So what's the French Way got to do? I don't understand. And I also don't understand how Fireball would impact it because it's on the wrong side and on the other side of the river. Which side of the river?
The other side is back in. Very late states.
For a late phase, where the next couple of years it will just be the boulevards that are going in, and that won't impact the boulevards.
No.
No.
Councillor Deakin.
So I think we should be willing to support some of these organisations. I really do. So even if the professional committees to support them in football, so that's what half the fund, £750. They provide half the equipment, and we're suggesting that we think they should fund the rest from their reserves. I think that's a reasonable mid ground where we're showing our support, but thinking that actually you have some funds there you could use.
I think that's really compromise. We'll move on to the Taunton Flower Show. That was an interesting conversation about the amount of free tickets. I had done them crunching in advance. Assuming it was Saturday tickets or Friday tickets, because Friday tickets are more expensive. The Saturday tickets are £20, 10%. I think it worked out at 25 tickets, 25 adult tickets would be made available through that 10%, which, given the size of Taunton Flower Show, didn't seem particularly large project.
Yes, I know it's difficult to say that question about changing the percentage, but I also know we met with Fagerline and their financials are not in a good place. So I appreciate that they're offering you something, and probably this year is not the year to push for more in terms of that, because I think they're just trying to keep, she said it would be the last one. Yeah.
I really think we support the flower show. It's one of our absolute landmark events. We can't sponsor it because of the way that our sponsorship policy has been put together. May have to go back and look at it and see what the wording is and why the wording is, and whether that is worth reviewing at some point. If it's stopping us being able to do what we want to be able to achieve. It needs to be there to protect us and support us and give us a structure, but if it's stopping us from being able to fund organisations in the way we want to, we may have to do that. As it stands at the moment, we can't sponsor them, it would have to be a grant. They've asked for £4,600, but I would suggest doing £2,500. Yep. Is that something different? Okay. Move on to the Taunton Lactation Group. No brainer.
No.
Okay, there was an excellent application, and I had very few questions I needed to ask. And they only wanted £1,000.
Yeah.
Very happy with the justification for what that was going to be spent on, so we're happy to. Taunton Town Football Club. I'm going to throw this open to the panel for comment. Councillor Tully.
If we don't give them money, and they need their ground sorted out, I think they will go, or they will get kicked out of the FA. And that's a part of Taunton, that's us. I don't agree with the tractor, that's their problem to find themselves a tractor. Sure, a good farmer will do that for them, but unless they do the whole of the ground, they'll finish it. That's my opinion. I'm afraid we either help them out or they sink.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's right.
I definitely agree we have to help them out, because the problem is that how much from which budget. And if you are asking, I would have expected a lot more detail. If you're basically saying, look, we need, I don't know how much they need actually, what's the minimum they would need to sort out the ground? But then I would be expecting a lot more detail in terms of exactly what that's going to be spent on. But I definitely think we've got to support them. And they, you know, the football clubs quite often get into HMRC, that's not uncommon. And, you know, it does depend on them being able to play matches, doesn't it? And then people will. So it's a tricky one in terms of how much we can spend in this budget.
Drainage works, £7,500 is what they've itemised. There was only 3 items, I think, on the £7,500 for drainage works, repairs and restoration, £12,500. And then £25,000 for tractor, which he agreed they could put a hold on, because that was for purchase rather than hire. Councillor Tully.
Yeah, the 7,500 is the land drain first, which will literally mark the pitch up completely. Then the pitch has to be totally relayed. So it's the whole, they need both lots of money. They will be able to do it otherwise.
And it's just, we don't have the funds to be able to enable that, not from this particular funding pot, unfortunately. I'd be very happy to, if we could sponsor them, then that would be different, but again, we're precluded because it's not free.
Chair, where do we spend the seal money? Because this is a project that the seal money could be used for. It's for the town.
I think it depends where the SIL monies come from. Most of our SIL money is tied up in Galmington and Coventry, is it not?
No, they can use it outside.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I was led to believe that most of our SIL money has already been ring fenced for existing projects. Kind of, there's so many calls on that money, it's not inexhaustible.
Sure, Chair. Can we check that out and see whether that seal money is available? What's that?
We wouldn't be able to allocate that money from this committee.
Then can we take it, bring it to the full council, let the full council do it? Because
It would have to be public infrastructure, and that would be privately owned, and so I don't think you would fit in those things. And with regards to seal money, there is a significant amount of kind of earmarked for the cone tree. There is some other stuff, but it has to be publicly owned infrastructure, and because it's private land, I think you would struggle with that as an issue. Yes. There are other places they could apply for grants, and this just might help them a little bit.
sorry, Chair, in which case, can't we bring it to full council and lay it in their laps and say, this is what's going to happen if we don't do anything? What do they suggest? And let's see what full council say.
Well, we could bring it to full council tomorrow, so that would be appropriate to bring it tomorrow for the agenda. There's nothing to bring, there isn't a proposal to bring at the moment. They would have to go back and talk to the football club and have other conversations about what support they would want. At which point, if there was a proposal to bring, then we could, but we could, this isn't in a state.
Sorry, Chair, can I come back a second?
Can I just say, so we're having this conversation around revenue costs for other buildings. As a town council, as you know, you have to be open and transparent and give the opportunity to everyone. So you can't just agree a one-off grant to somebody just because they're in a situation. You would have to open, which is what we're looking to do, a grant pot for something for larger funding, and they would have to apply as part of that. And I know the situation we're in, and I know you want to fix it, but we can't just, to be fair, you just can't fix everything just by putting it to a committee.
Can I come back in?
Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Ellis.
There's no reason why we can't suggest to the football club that they apply to the full council for help. There's nothing stopping them from doing that.
There's no facility to give them the money as just as a private enterprise. We'd have to set something up specially.
We could set something.
All organisations within Taunton to apply for that money. Otherwise,
it does concern me. I think if we don't help them, they'll sink. They will go under.
Councillor Ellis.
I think what we should do is give them what we can tonight from that pot, what we think we can manage. And then we have a look at what we can do further to help them in the very extremely near future, bearing in mind what we know about their situation.
I'd be very happy to pencil in some money to go towards their drainage costs, even if they can't do it straight away. They need to download the application form for Sport England and as a matter of urgency. And if we've given them seed funding, that may potentially help secure money from other sources. But they need to look at the sites.
Can we give them some advice about other things that haven't been mentioned that they would be looking at?
I don't think they're experts in sports funding. So I think it's a football club that can access advice in that.
So we could pencil in half the drainage costs.
That's very far on £2,500. And I'd suggest looking at the other amounts that have been requested, that we do stick to £2,500. Was it?
Isn't this exceptional circumstances? I think it's exceptional. We've had, this is the rainfall that we've had has been absolutely leaking falling, and it's played absolutely havoc with the pitch, otherwise they would be in this position, and that's an unusual circumstance. Hopefully, if they did the works that they're going to do, because eventually it will come from my understanding. So we're going to support them now, it's time to do it.
What's the views under the drainage? Was it 7.5 now?
3, yeah,
3,750. 3,750.
Sorry, Chair, butt in again. If we help them, they could then go to the FA and say that we are helping them and part funding them. That would help their application with them.
which goes to pencil in 3,150 as 50% of the drainage cost to be used for the drainage costs. And they can use that hopefully the seed funding to secure funds from elsewhere to pay for the rest of the project. Moving on to Tiddly gigs.
Yeah.
Slightly different, line. And they are looking for £750. Each project.
It's a shame. Now with the nice response to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I totally understand the reasons for it not being.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's
People actually commit to
yeah,
them.
absolutely.
Yes, and yeah, depends on the full amount of that. And then finally, the Whitmore allotment. Beauty shed project. That's a deacon, sorry.
This one, I'm not going to express the view, and I think it's good. I think it always feels slightly odd that the allotment associations come here to ask for money, given we have responsibility for the allotment. It seems a bit, I don't know if it's just here that it kind of happens in that way. And I know we can't do anything right now, but it feels like we've always been an allotment improvement fund or something a bit different that is specific for our allotment associations to bid into. So almost a grant box tied specifically to the allotment associations. It just feels weird that the allotments that we're responsible for are coming in and bidding for money from us against other non-related organisations. I don't know, there's something about it that just feels a little bit strange, but that might be normal, I don't know.
Sorry, do you want to do normal? What do you want
I believe the lots of associations here have always come for grants.
Okay.
That's how it's always been. You do have an opportunity to change that, you can change lots of things. But you are going to put some money in to earmark from underspends from this year from the allotments. You are going to do that, so you have the opportunity to, when you review the grant policy, to maybe put in something specific for your allotment associations to bid into. So you could make that happen, but that isn't available right now. And that isn't going to happen tomorrow either.
Yeah, we do like the, I mean, project, we have turned a lot of that ways. This is good, they're coming to us at least with really good eco, you know, the mitigated climate change, they're looking at, you know, great use of natural, it's a great project. So this is in itself, it's about shelter, isn't it, and a compost. So I think we should contribute towards it, whatever amount of.
Well, it's.
They're asking.
But yeah, not for that, but it's just mentioned how much.
We didn't quite get the full answers to this, unfortunately. I appreciate that the chap that came to present wasn't the original guy that was going to come and present. So we're looking at nearly £6,000 for all three elements. It didn't seem clear what would happen if we gave them partial funding. It would take them a while to fundraise somehow to get the rest of the money. I do suggest £30 a year for allotment is an absolute bargain. It's less than £1 a week. So whilst I don't recommend extortionate allotment fees, we could potentially encourage our allotments to review their figures marginally upwards, but that's still not going to pay for their shed. That's Alice.
There are three elements, weren't there? Each of them was individually budgeted. So water harvesting, 800, compost toilets, 800, and the big items, the long cash thing. So at least maybe for the, I like the water harvesting and the compost toilet, but as this goes to climate change.
I think the cabin's the essential bit, the other bits are attached to it. So if you don't have the cabin, you don't have the other two.
So take it.
Water harvesting is coming off the roof of the cabin. So it would be the log cabin is the key element. And everything else is, it's more likely they get donations to fund the compost toilet, but not to get a shed. But the shed was 4.5. So we're looking at £4,500 for the block having meeting with sellers.
So we gave them, I don't know, £2,000 or something towards their project, and then it's up to them, or they spend it up to it back, so it's like, we're not gonna lose out, or they have to spend it on this project, so we might as well.
I would suggest we offer £2,500 towards the project. And hopefully they can get money from Wessex Water or
Yeah.
source, I don't know. Yeah, to do that.
How much? Yeah.
Yeah, so I've just added in the.
So,
Just because I was
what's your thoughts last year?
20,000.
We're up to £20,850 grants. And the just under £7,500, £7,495 for sponsorship. And the sponsorship is fine, that's, well within our projected sponsorship budget for the year. It's whether you're happy to exceed the quarter was 16,000, so we're slightly over the quarter, but not enormously so.
It's not bad.
I'm quite comfortable going with it over, because,
Yeah.
the beginning of a new financial year, and I'm maybe this is wrong, but I'm imagining that a lot of people will have gone for the first round, and I think they're all really good projects that we need to perform, so I'm quite relaxed.
Yeah.
Do you want to quick summary of the grants that we've given?
And then you can approve the whole block.
Yeah.
So Arts Taunton 2.5, they asked for 5. And the community men in Sheds Taunton asked for 4.5, you suggested 2.5. Eat Festival, none. Military Wives Fire 600, that's what they asked for. Somerset Armed Forces Day sponsorship 5,000, that's what they asked for. Somerset Comedy Festival 2,500, that's what they asked for. Somerset Film and Video sponsorship, what they asked for, 2,495. Somerset Opera half, £500, they asked for 1,000. Taunton Artistic Swimming, 1,000, they asked for 2.5. Taunton Canoe Club, 750, they asked for 1,500. Taunton Dean Horticultural, then, 2,500 rather than 4,600. Taunton Lactation Care, 1,000, that's what we asked for. Taunton Town Football Club, 3,750. And Tiddly Gigs, 750, that's what they asked for. And then Whitmore, it's 2,500, they were asking for 5,800.
Just have a week thought. The Sunset Opera activity was free for performers. And it was only pay what you feel. We can do that as sponsorship, and they can ask for donations. There is no set fee there is no set ticket price. It's technically free, but donations, if you want to, we can actually sponsor the Somerset Opera and make that a Taunton Town Council sponsored event, which I think would be really good. So we can transfer that to the sponsorship pot. Taking a bit of pressure off the grant pot. Tally?
Yeah. Sorry, Chair. I just realised that the football club is in my ward. I also declared an interest in it.
You have no financial interest rate, it's fine.
That's honest. Just in case someone says, all of a sudden,
No,
it's in your ward, nobody.
as long as they're paying you, it's fine.
They will be.
But you have to put that in the sponsorship bucket and keep it at £500 for a single event.
Well, can't we go the full amount?
I'm just saying, if it was from the sponsorship amount, they've seen Somerset Opera Group, they asked for £1,000, which would cover multiple events.
Yeah.
So we need to be careful, because when you've got 25,000 and you're already giving all that,
It's hardly even that we can sponsor. So it's very limited amount of events that we can sponsor. They charge a ticket price in Australia.
They don't want to.
It's pretty much that and the Winterfest.
Yeah.
I think that's the only two things in the calendar, unless there's other small things like this.
You can also buy the budget.
Yeah.
So you just have to think about, it's not just.
Sorry. No, that's okay, but just say that's, so how much should we hold total sponsorship?
7995. So we would propose all of that.
Yes, if you're not all happy with those figures, would someone like to propose one block that we adopt that? Councillor Ellis, would someone like to second that? Councillor Lees? All those in favour of granting those amounts? That's unanimous. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think that concludes the meeting.
Thank you.